The envelope shouldn't have existed. Zora Khan noticed it the moment she stepped into their small apartment, the kind of place where nothing new ever appeared unless it was a bill. It sat on the table like it belonged somewhere else, thick, ivory paper, her name written in elegant ink that felt too expensive for someone like her. She froze. "Ami," she called, her voice careful. From the kitchen came the soft clatter of dishes. "Yes. Did someone come here today?" "No." "Why?" Zara didn't answer right away. She stepped closer, almost cautiously, like the envelope might disappear if she moved too fast. Her name, Zara Khan, was written in a script so precise it felt deliberate, like someone had practiced it. Not printed. Handwritten. That made it worse. She picked it up. It was heavier than it should have been. Inside was a single card. Black. Minimal. Code. Miss Zara Khan. You have been selected to attend Vermont Academy. Full scholarship granted. Immediate acceptance required. Term begins in 7 days. Do not ignore this invitation. No signature. No explanation. Just a small embossed crest at the bottom, something intricate and unfamiliar. Zara blinked. This has to be a joke, she muttered. But it didn't feel like one. That night, she searched everything. Vermont Academy wasn't easy to find. It wasn't on normal school lists or rankings. There were no advertisements, no social media pages, just fragments. Old articles. Mentions buried in forums. Names of people who had attended and then disappeared into powerful positions. CEOs. Politicians. Royal advisors. People who didn't just succeed. They controlled things. Zara leaned back in her chair, her heart beating faster than she wanted to admit. This isn't real, she whispered again. But something inside her, something quiet and stubborn, disagreed. 7 days later, she stood in front of gates that didn't look like they belonged to a school. They looked like they belonged to a fortress. Tall. Black. Silent. A guard scanned her name without asking questions, as if he'd been expecting her all along. That should have been reassuring. It wasn't. The gates didn't open. They unlocked. A soft, mechanical click echoed through the air. Zara stepped inside. And immediately knew she didn't belong. Everything about Vermont was designed to remind you of your place. The marble floors reflected light like glass. Chandeliers hung high above, dripping gold and crystal. Students moved through the halls like they owned them, confident, polished, dressed in effortless luxury. No one looked confused. No one looked unsure. Except her. Zara tightened her grip on her suitcase, suddenly aware of how worn it looked against everything else. Voices lowered as she passed. Not silent. Just quieter. Observing. Judging. A girl standing near the staircase tilted her head slightly, eyes sharp. New, she said softly to the people around her. Another voice responded, amused. Obviously. Then, just loud enough. Scholarship. The word landed heavier than it should have. Zara kept walking. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. Miss Khan. The voice came from behind her, smooth, controlled. Zara turned. A woman stood a few steps away, dressed in dark, tailored elegance. Everything about her was precise, from her posture to the way she held Zara's gaze. Headmistress Lawn, the woman introduced herself. Zara nodded quickly. Yes, ma'am. You're right on time, Lawn said. That's promising. Something about the pause made Zara uneasy. I didn't expect, Zara started, then stopped. She didn't even know what she was going to say. To be here. Lawn finished. Zara didn't answer. Lauren's lips curved slightly, but it wasn't a smile. "Few do," she said. "Follow me." The office was just as intimidating as the rest of the academy, minimal, elegant, and completely controlled. Lauren gestured for Zora to sit. "You must have questions," she said. That would be an understatement. Lauren nodded, as if she appreciated the honesty. "You were selected," she said simply. "Based on what?" A pause. "Potential." Zora frowned. "That's not an answer. It's the only one you'll receive for now." That wasn't reassuring. "Why me?" Zora pressed. Lauren studied her for a moment, then said something that didn't make sense. "Because someone insisted." Zora's stomach tightened. "Who?" Lauren stood, signaling the conversation was over. "You'll find that answers at Vermont are rarely given freely," she said. "You earn them." By the time Zora left the office, the academy felt different. Not just intimidating. Watching. She adjusted the strap of her bag and stepped into the hallway. And something brushed against her hand. A piece of paper. Someone had slipped it to her without her noticing. Her heart skipped. Slowly, she unfolded it. The handwriting was rushed this time. Uneven. Urgent. Leave before they realize who you really are. Zora's breath caught. She looked up immediately. Students passed by like nothing had happened. Conversations continued. No one looked at her. No one reacted. But someone had been close enough to touch her. Close enough to know her name. Close enough to warn her. Zora folded the note again, her fingers tightening around it. For a moment, just a moment. She considered leaving. Walking back to those gates. Pretending none of this had happened. But then she looked around again. At the wealth. The power. The secrets hiding behind perfect faces. And something shifted. If someone didn't want her here, then she needed to know why. Zora lifted her chin slightly, slipping the note into her pocket. "Yeah," she murmured under her breath. "I'm not going anywhere." Morning arrived quietly, but the tension didn't. Her dorm room alone was larger than her entire apartment back home. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked perfectly trimmed gardens, and sunlight poured in like it had been carefully arranged. Everything here felt staged. Even the silence. Zora stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the academy uniform she'd been given. It fit perfectly, too perfectly, like it had been made for her in advance. That thought unsettled her more than anything else. A soft knock broke the silence. Before she could respond, the door opened. "Wow," a voice said casually. "So it's true." Zora turned sharply. A girl stepped inside like she already owned the room. She was effortlessly elegant, dark hair, sharp eyes, and the kind of confidence that didn't need to be announced. "Ilara Vos," she said, not offering a hand. "I like to meet curiosities early." Zora crossed her arms slightly. "Good to know I'm entertaining." Ilara's lips curved faintly. "You're not entertaining." A pause. "You're suspicious." Zora held her gaze. "That makes two of us." For a second, something flickered in Ilara's expression, interest, maybe even approval. Then it vanished. "Careful," Ilara said softly. "People who stand out here don't last long." She turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Oh, and Zora." Zora didn't answer. Ilara glanced back, her voice dropping just enough to matter. "Everyone at Vermont is lying." Then she walked out. Classes at Vermont weren't normal. They weren't about memorizing facts or passing exams. They were about power. Zora realized that within minutes of stepping into her first lecture hall. No teacher stood at the front. Instead, Students sat in a circular arrangement, like they were equals. Or competitors. At the center of the room stood a single screen. It lit up as soon as she entered. Scenario: a government is collapsing. You have influence over its financial systems. What do you do? Zara blinked. Is this a joke? Someone muttered. No, another voice replied calmly. This is first period. Zara turned toward the voice. And that's when she saw him. Ryan Shaw. He leaned back in his chair like the entire situation bored him, but his eyes were sharp, observant, taking everything in. When he noticed her looking, he smirked slightly. New girl, he said. You going to save the country or destroy it? Zara raised an eyebrow. Depends. Who benefits? A few students glanced at her. That wasn't the kind of answer they expected. Ryan's smile widened. Yeah, he said softly. You're going to be a problem. By midday, Zara understood the hierarchy. There were no official leaders. But there were people everyone watched. Elijah Voss. Ryan Shaw. And Adrian Voss. The name carried differently. Zara heard it before she saw him. Whispers. Lowered voices. Respect mixed with something else. Fear. She spotted him near the far end of the courtyard, surrounded, but untouched. People gave him space without being told to. He didn't laugh. Didn't smile. Just observed. Like he was calculating outcomes no one else could see. Zara hesitated. Then, against her better judgment, she walked toward him. Big mistake. The conversation around him faded slightly as she approached. Not silent. Just aware. Adrian looked up. Their eyes met. And for a moment, everything else disappeared. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't soft. It was sharp. Like being analyzed in real time. You're lost, he said flatly. Zara frowned. I'm standing right where I chose to. Then you made the wrong choice. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it. Something controlled. Zara tilted her head. Do you talk to everyone like this? No, Adrian said. Just the ones who don't understand where they are. Something in her snapped, just a little. Then maybe you should explain it, she shot back. A pause. The air shifted. Adrian stepped closer, not aggressively, but enough to make a point. This place, he said quietly, isn't for people like you. Zara didn't back down. Then why was I invited? That was the wrong question. For the first time. Adrian hesitated. It was brief. Barely noticeable. But Zara saw it. And that was enough. His expression hardened immediately after. Invitations can be mistakes, he said. Zara smiled faintly. Then I guess I'm your biggest one. The note came again that evening. This time, it wasn't slipped into her hand. It was waiting on her desk. Zara froze the moment she saw it. She hadn't left her room unlocked. She was sure of it. Slowly, she picked it up. Different handwriting. Cleaner. More controlled. Stop asking about the disappeared girl. Her breath caught. She hadn't told anyone she was asking. Had she? No. She'd only mentioned it once, quietly, to a student in passing. Unless someone was listening. Or watching. Or both. Zara turned sharply toward the door. Empty. The hallway outside was silent. But the feeling lingered. That she wasn't alone. That night, she couldn't sleep. The academy felt different in the dark. Less polished. More honest. Zara slipped out of her room just past midnight, moving quietly through the halls. If someone didn't want her asking questions, she'd ask better ones. The archives weren't hard to find. Locked. But not impossible. A place like Vermont didn't rely on simple security. It relied on people not daring to break the rules. Zara pushed the door open slowly. Inside, rows of records stretched across the room. Names. Files. Histories. She moved quickly, scanning labels until there. A section that felt avoided. Not labeled clearly. Almost hidden in plain sight. Her fingers brushed against the file. She pulled it out. And froze. The name stared back at her. Alina Reyes. The disappeared student. Zara opened the file. Footsteps. Close. Too close. She shut it immediately, her heart racing. Curiosity, a voice said from the doorway, is dangerous here. Zara turned. Ryan leaned against the frame, arms crossed, like he'd been there longer than she realized. How long have you been watching? She asked. Long enough. He nodded toward the file. That's not light reading. Then why is it here? Ryan pushed off the doorframe, stepping inside. Because Vermont doesn't erase mistakes, he said quietly. It studies them. Zara's grip tightened on the file. What happened to her? Ryan didn't answer right away. Instead, he looked at her, really looked this time. You don't stop, do you? No. A pause. Then. She didn't disappear, he said. Zara's stomach dropped. What? Ryan's voice lowered. She found something she wasn't supposed to. Zara swallowed. What kind of something? Ryan glanced toward the door. Then back at her. The kind, he said, that gets you removed. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Removed how? Zara asked. Ryan didn't respond. And that? That was worse. Zara looked back at the file in her hands. At the name. At the truth sitting just out of reach. Then she opened it again. And this time, she read the last page first. Her eyes scanned the lines quickly. Then stopped. Her breath hitched. Because at the bottom of the page was a photograph. Not of Alina. Of her. Zara's fingers went cold. The photo wasn't recent. It was older. But it was definitely her. Same face. Same eyes. Same scar near her wrist. And underneath it, a single line. Subject connected. Monitoring since age 12. The file slipped slightly in her hands. No, she whispered. This wasn't possible. This didn't make sense. Ryan stepped closer. What is it? Zara didn't answer. She couldn't. Because suddenly, everything changed. This wasn't about a random invitation anymore. She hadn't been chosen. She had been watched. For years. And somewhere inside Vermont Academy. Someone already knew. She had just found out. The photo didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense. Zara stared at it, her fingers trembling slightly as the edges of the file dug into her skin. The image was unmistakable, her face, younger, maybe 12 or 13, standing outside what looked like her old school. Same expression. Same scar on her wrist. Same life she thought no one important had ever noticed. Except they had. For years. Zara. Ryan's voice cut through her thoughts, quieter now. What are you looking at? She didn't answer immediately. Couldn't. Because the moment she said it out loud, it would become real. Instead, she turned the file slightly, just enough for him to see. Ryan leaned in. At first, his expression didn't change. Then, it did. Not dramatically. Not loudly. But enough. His jaw tightened. That's not possible, he said under his breath. Yeah, Zara replied hollowly. I got that part. Ryan looked at her again, this time more carefully, like he was seeing something new. Who are you? He asked. That almost made her laugh. I was about to ask you the same thing about this place. The silence in the archive room felt heavier now. Not quiet. Watching. Zara snapped the file shut. We shouldn't be here, Ryan said. You think, she shot back. No, he said calmly. I know. That difference mattered. Zara exhaled slowly, trying to steady herself. Take it, she said, holding the file out. Ryan raised an eyebrow. You trust me now? No, she replied. But I trust you more than whoever's been tracking me since I was 12. A bit. Then Ryan took it. Good enough, he muttered. They didn't leave through the main door. That had been Ryan's idea. There are cameras, he explained quietly as he guided her through a narrower corridor behind the shelves. Not everywhere, but enough. And you know where they are? Zara asked. Mostly. That wasn't comforting. The hidden hallway led to a side exit Zara hadn't noticed before. When they stepped out into the cold night air, she finally felt like she could breathe again. But it didn't last. Because now, the questions were louder. You've been watched, Ryan said bluntly as they moved across the courtyard. Tracked. Documented. I figured that out, Zara replied, her voice tight. No, he said, stopping suddenly. She turned. You don't understand, he continued. People like us, we are watched because of who our families are. Our influence. He stepped closer. But you, he added. You weren't supposed to matter. That hit harder than it should have. Zara crossed her arms. Clearly, someone disagrees. Ryan studied her for a moment, then said something unexpected. Yeah, he said quietly. And that's the problem. The next morning, Vermont felt different. Or maybe it was just her. Every glance felt sharper. Every whisper louder. Zara walked into class with her head high, but inside, everything was shifting. Someone here knew about her. Someone here had been watching her for years. And someone here had decided. She was important. Rough night. Zara turned. Ilara Voss slid into the seat beside her like she'd always belonged there. I sleep fine, Zara replied. Ilara hummed softly. Lying already. You're learning fast. Zara didn't react. Not outwardly. But something about Ilara's tone made her uneasy. You always analyze people this early in the morning? Zara asked. Only the interesting ones. A pause. Then Ilara leaned slightly closer. You went somewhere you shouldn't have, she said quietly. Zara's stomach dropped, but her expression didn't change. I went to my room, she replied evenly. Ilara smiled. Not kindly. Of course you did. The tension didn't break. It stretched. Pulled tighter with every passing moment. Until. Enough. The voice cut through the room instantly. Everyone stilled. Zara didn't need to turn to know who it was. Adrian Voss. He stood near the center now, his presence commanding attention without effort. His gaze moved across the room. Then landed on her. Direct. Unavoidable. New students don't get special treatment, he said. Zara raised an eyebrow. Good. I wasn't asking for any. A few students shifted. That kind of response wasn't normal here. Adrian stepped closer. Then stop acting like the rules don't apply to you. Zara held his gaze. Maybe someone should explain the rules first. Silence. Then, a faint murmur spread through the room. Adrian didn't look amused. But he didn't look angry either. Just interested. And that was worse. After class, Zara didn't wait. She moved quickly through the halls, her mind racing. She needed answers. Real ones. And there was only one person who might have them. She found Headmistress Lawn in her office. Of course. Like she'd been expecting her. "Miss Khan," Lawn said smoothly. "I was wondering when you'd come." Zara didn't sit this time. "You've been watching me," she said. Straight to the point. Lawn didn't deny it. "That depends on what you believe watching means." Zara stepped closer. "I found the file." That changed something. Just slightly. But enough. Lawn folded her hands. "You weren't supposed to access that." "Yeah," Zara replied. "I'm noticing a pattern." A pause. Then, "Why me?" Zara demanded. "What do you want from me?" Lawn studied her carefully. Then said the one thing Zara wasn't ready for. "You think you were brought here to learn," she said. Zara frowned. "Wasn't I?" Lauren's gaze sharpened. "No," she said. "You were brought here because of what you already are." Silence filled the room. Heavy. Unavoidable. Zara shook her head slightly. "That doesn't mean anything." "It will," Lawn replied. "Then explain it." Lawn stood. Slow. Controlled. "No," she said. Zara's patience snapped. "You don't get to just..." "Alina Reyes tried to find answers the same way you are," Lawn interrupted. Zara froze. "And look where that got her." That landed hard. Zara swallowed. What did she find? Lawn didn't hesitate this time. She found out the truth about the selection process. Zara's heart pounded. What truth? Lawn stepped closer. Close enough that her voice didn't need to be loud. "Vermont doesn't choose students based on potential," she said. Zara's breath slowed. Then stopped. "Then what?" she whispered. Lawn held her gaze. "And delivered the twist that changed everything." "We choose them," she said. "Based on what they are connected to." Zara's mind raced. Connected to what? Money. Power. Secrets. Or something worse. "You're not here by accident, Zara," Lawn continued. "You're here because someone, or something, linked to you is valuable." Zara took a step back. "No," she said quietly. "That's not possible." "Denial won't protect you," Lawn replied. "Then what will?" Zara shot back. For the first time. Lawn hesitated. Just slightly. Then said, "Understanding what you are." Zara left the office without another word. Because suddenly, everything felt unstable. Her past. Her identity. Her place here. All of it. A lie. Or something she had never fully understood. That night, she stood by the window in her room, staring out at the academy. At the luxury. The perfection. The illusion. And behind her, a voice spoke. "You finally see it, don't you?" Zara turned sharply. Adrian stood in the doorway. She hadn't heard him enter. Her pulse quickened. "You need to stop doing that." He ignored that. "This place," he said, stepping inside, "isn't about education." Zara crossed her arms. "Yeah, I figured that out." Adrian's gaze didn't waver. "It's about control." A pause. Then, "And you," he added quietly, are at the center of something you don't understand yet. Zara met his eyes. Then explain it. Adrian shook his head once. I can't. Or you won't. A bit. Then. I'm trying to keep you alive. Silence. Thick. Uncertain. Zara's voice softened, but only slightly. From what? Adrian looked at her. Really looked. Then said. From becoming what they brought you here to be. And just like that. The mystery wasn't just about Vermont anymore. It was about her. Zara didn't sleep. Not really. The words Adrian had left her with kept looping in her head. I'm trying to keep you alive. From becoming what they brought you here to be. That wasn't a warning. It was a threat disguised as protection. And she didn't know which part scared her more. Morning came too fast. Vermont looked the same, perfect, controlled, untouchable. But now Zara saw through it. The smiles weren't real. The friendships weren't safe. And the attention. That was the most dangerous part of all. She stepped into the courtyard, immediately aware of the shift. People weren't just noticing her anymore. They were watching. Tracking. Calculating. Word had spread. It always did here. Well, a familiar voice said lightly, you've officially become interesting. Zara didn't need to turn. Ryan. He fell into step beside her like it was natural. Was I not before? She asked. Oh, you were, he said. But now. You've crossed into dangerous. Zara glanced at him. And that excites you? Ryan grinned. A little. She rolled her eyes, but didn't walk away. That was the problem. People are choosing sides, Ryan added quietly. That made her pause. Sides, she repeated. Yeah, he said. You didn't think this place was just drama and expensive uniforms, did you? Zara frowned. I think this place is something worse. Ryan's expression shifted slightly. Good, he said. That means you're paying attention. Before she could respond, a voice cut through the courtyard. Zara. Cold. Controlled. Adrian. He stood a few steps away, his presence alone enough to silence conversations around them. Ryan didn't move. Didn't leave. Interesting. Adrian's gaze flicked briefly to him, then back to her. We need to talk. Zara crossed her arms. You don't need anything from me. A pause. Then Adrian said something unexpected. Alone. Ryan let out a quiet breath. Yeah, I'm not loving that. Zara glanced at him. I can handle a conversation. Ryan tilted his head slightly. This isn't just a conversation. Adrian's voice cut in, sharper now. Leave. Ryan didn't. Instead, he smiled faintly. Make me. The tension snapped tight. For a second, Zara thought this might actually turn into something worse. But Adrian exhaled slowly, like he was forcing himself to stay controlled. 5 minutes, he said, eyes still on Zara. Then you can go back to pretending this is a game. That hit. Because part of her knew. It wasn't. Zara turned to Ryan. I'll be fine. He didn't look convinced. But he stepped back anyway. 5 minutes, he repeated. If you're not back, I'm coming in. Zara nodded once. Then followed Adrian. He didn't take her far. Just far enough that no one else could hear. Or so it felt. At Vermont, you could never be sure. Start talking, Zara said the moment they stopped. Adrian didn't waste time. You need to stop digging. Zara let out a short, disbelieving laugh. That's what you came to say? Yes. Not happening. I'm serious. So am I. Silence. Then Adrian stepped closer. Not aggressively, but enough to shift the air between them. You don't understand what you're getting into, he said. Zara held her ground. Then explain it. I can't. Won't. A pause. Then. Both. That should have made her step back. It didn't. Instead, she said quietly. Then stop pretending you're helping me. That landed. Adrian's jaw tightened. I am helping you. By lying. By keeping you alive. The words echoed again. Zara's voice dropped. Everyone keeps saying that, she said. But no one's telling me from what. Adrian looked at her. And for the first time, there was something real in his expression. Not control. Not calculation. Something else. Conflict. You were monitored, he said finally. Tracked. Evaluated. I know. You don't know why. Then tell me. A bit. Then Adrian said something that changed everything again. You weren't just being watched, he said. Zara's pulse quickened. You were being prepared. Her breath caught. For what? Adrian didn't answer immediately. That hesitation. It said enough. For selection, he said finally. Zara shook her head. I was already selected. I'm here. No, Adrian said quietly. That was just the beginning. Something cold settled in her chest. Beginning of what? Adrian stepped even closer now. Close enough that she could feel the tension in every word. Of becoming part of something you can't walk away from. Zara's voice steadied. Try me. That was when it shifted. Not the conversation. The energy. Because suddenly, Adrian wasn't just warning her. He was looking at her differently. You don't scare easily, he said. No. That's going to get you hurt. Or get me answers. A pause. Then. You should stay away from me, Adrian said. Zara blinked. What? That's the safest choice. She frowned. You literally came to find me. And now I'm telling you to leave. Zara let out a quiet laugh. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. And then, without warning, he reached out. Not aggressively. Not forcefully. Just enough to stop her from stepping back. The moment froze. Zara's breath caught. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about secrets anymore. Why are you really here? She asked softly. Adrian didn't let go. Because you're already involved, he said. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. She should have pulled away. She didn't. That was the problem. For a second. Just a second. Everything else faded. The academy. The danger. The lies. Then. Wow. The voice broke the moment instantly. Ryan. Zara stepped back quickly. Adrian's hand dropped just as fast. The tension didn't disappear. It just changed. Ryan walked toward them slowly, his expression unreadable. Well, he said lightly, this looks complicated. Zara exhaled. It's not worth it. Ryan raised a hand slightly. Relax. I'm not judging. A pause. Just observing. Adrian's voice turned cold again. You should leave. Ryan smiled faintly. You already tried that. Zara looked between them. And realized something dangerous. This wasn't just tension. This was rivalry. And she was right in the middle of it. Enough, she said firmly. Both of them went quiet. Good. We are not doing this, Zara continued. Not whatever this is. Ryan tilted his head. You sure? Because it feels like we already are. Zara ignored that. Instead, she looked at Adrian. Next time you want to warn me, she said, try honesty. Then she turned to Ryan. And you, stop acting like this is entertainment. Ryan's smile faded slightly. Who says it is? Zara didn't answer. Because suddenly, she wasn't sure. That night, another message came. But this time, it wasn't written. Her phone lit up. Unknown number. Just one line. They are testing you. Don't trust either of them. Zara stared at the screen. Her heart racing. Because deep down, she already knew. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about choosing who to trust. In a place where everyone was lying. And the worst part, she was starting to feel something. For both of them. The message didn't disappear. Zara stared at her phone long after the screen dimmed, the words burned into her mind. They are testing you. Don't trust either of them. Either of them. Adrian. Ryan. Her chest tightened. That wasn't helpful. That made everything worse. Morning at Vermont didn't feel like morning anymore. It felt like the start of something. Not routine. Not normal. Something planned. When Zara stepped into the main hall, she immediately knew. Something was different. Students weren't scattered like usual. They were gathered. Grouped. Organized. Waiting. What is this? She muttered. A shift, a voice answered. She turned. Elara. Of course. Dressed flawlessly, calm as ever, but her eyes were sharper than usual. Shift into what? Zara asked. Elara's lips curved slightly. The truth. Before Zara could respond, the massive screen at the front of the hall flickered to life. Instant silence. Even the whisper stopped. That wasn't normal. That was control. Headmistress Lauren appeared on the screen. Not in person. That was intentional. Distance created authority. Welcome, Lauren's voice echoed, smooth and precise, to the next phase of your education. Zara didn't like the sound of that. Not at all. For years, Lauren continued, Vermont Academy has prepared individuals for positions of influence. A pause. Then. But preparation alone is not enough. Zara's pulse quickened. Because she already knew. Whatever came next wouldn't be optional. You have been observed, Lauren said. Evaluated. Measured. Her voice sharpened slightly. Now, you will be tested. A ripple moved through the room. Not panic. Not fear. Something worse. Excitement. Zara glanced around. They weren't surprised. They were ready. The structure is simple, Lauren continued. Zara didn't believe that for a second. You will be divided into factions. There it was. Ryan was right. Sides. Each faction represents influence, Lauren said. Financial power. Political reach. Global control. Zara's stomach dropped. This wasn't a school system. This was a simulation. Or something closer to reality. You will compete, Lauren added calmly. Of course they would. For resources. For leverage. For dominance. The words landed like weight. Heavy. Unavoidable. And at the end, Lauren paused. Just long enough. Only those who prove their value will remain. Silence. Then the screen went dark. For a moment. No one moved. Then. Everything erupted. Students turned to each other instantly. Conversations. Alliances. Calculations. It was chaos. But controlled chaos. Like everyone had been waiting for this. Zara stood still. Processing. This wasn't just a test. This was selection. Final selection. Well, Ryan's voice appeared beside her, that escalated quickly. Zara exhaled slowly. You knew about this. Not details, he admitted. But something like it. Yeah. She looked at him. And you didn't think to mention it. Ryan shrugged slightly. Would it have changed anything? A pause. No. Exactly. Zara. That voice again. Adrian. She turned. He was already watching her. Of course he was. They'll assign you soon, he said. Zara crossed her arms. To a faction. Yes. And I'm guessing I don't get a choice. No. Zara let out a quiet breath. Of course not. Before she could say anything else, the screen flickered back on. Names began appearing. One by one. Fast. Students stepped forward as they were called. Moving toward different sections of the hall. Different groups. Different futures. Zara's heart started pounding. Because she knew. Her name was coming. Zara Khan. Everything stopped. Not physically. But socially. Attention shifted. Again. Zara stepped forward slowly. Trying not to show the tension building inside her. The screen paused. That wasn't normal. Names hadn't paused before. A flicker. A glitch. No. Not a glitch. A delay. Then. Her assignment appeared. A murmur spread instantly. Louder than before. Different. Zara frowned. What does that mean? Ryan's expression changed. For the first time. He didn't look amused. He muttered. That's not possible. Adrian went completely still. That was worse. Zara looked between them. What? No one answered. Then Elara stepped closer. And for once, even she didn't look composed. Sovereign, Elara said quietly, isn't a faction. Zara's pulse spiked. Then what is it? A pause. Then. It's the top. Silence hit. Hard. There's only ever one, Elara added. Zara's stomach dropped. One what? Elara held her gaze. One person, she said. Who isn't controlled by the factions. That didn't make sense. Then what are they? Ryan answered this time. Quiet. Serious. The one everything revolves around. Zara shook her head slightly. No, she said. That's not, there has to be a mistake. Adrian finally spoke. No, he said. There isn't. Zara turned to him. Then explain it. Adrian's voice dropped. Low enough that only she could hear. You weren't placed into the game, he said. Her breath slowed. You're the reason it exists. Everything went silent. Because suddenly, this wasn't about surviving Vermont. It was about why Vermont existed at all. And why? It had been built around her. Across the hall, students were already watching her differently. Not just curiosity. Not just judgment. Targeting. Because now, Zara wasn't just part of the system. She was above it. And in a place built on power. That made her the most dangerous person in the room. Or the easiest one to destroy. Her phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. She looked down. Now you understand. Run. Zara lifted her gaze slowly. At the students. At the factions. At the power shifting around her. Then she whispered, almost to herself. Yeah. I think I do. And for the first time, she realized there was no safe side to choose. Because everyone else already had. There's a moment. Right before everything falls apart. Where the world feels too still. Zara felt it the second the hall began to empty. No chaos. No panic. Just quiet movement. Calculated. Controlled. Like everyone already knew what came next. They were adjusting. Adapting. Positioning themselves around her. Zara stood where she was, the words still echoing in her mind. Sovereign. Not a faction. Not a team. A position. The one everything revolves around. Ryan's voice replayed in her head. That wasn't power. That was pressure. You need to move. Zara turned. Adrian. Of course. I'm not running, she said immediately. That's not what I said. Sounded like it. Adrian stepped closer, his expression tighter than usual. This changes everything, he said. No, Zara replied quietly. This explains everything. A pause. Then. You don't understand how dangerous this makes you, Adrian said. Zara met his gaze. No, she said. I think I finally do. Because now it made sense. The watching. The file. The selection. She wasn't just chosen. She was central. Zara. Ryan's voice again, but different this time. Less casual. More serious. She turned. He was already moving toward her. Fast. You need to come with me, he said. Zara frowned. Why? Because, he replied, lowering his voice, they're already planning. That word again. They. Planning what? She asked. Ryan didn't hesitate. How to control you, he said. A bit. Or remove you. Adrian's expression darkened. She's not going anywhere with you. Ryan let out a quiet breath. This isn't about you. Everything here is about control, Adrian snapped. And you're not exactly neutral. Ryan smiled faintly. Neither are you. Zara stepped between them. Stop. Both of them went silent. Good. I'm not choosing sides, she said. Ryan shook his head slightly. You don't get that option anymore. Adrian didn't argue. That was worse. Then I'll make my own, Zara replied. That should have sounded confident. Strong. In control. It didn't feel that way. Because deep down, she knew. She was already in the middle of something she couldn't step out of. That night, the academy didn't sleep. Lights stayed on longer. Footsteps echoed in places that were usually quiet. Doors opened and closed softly. Meetings. Conversations. Deals. Zara felt it from her room. The shift. The tension. The quiet storm building. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Of course. Midnight. South wind. Come alone if you want the truth. Zara stared at the message. Her instincts screamed two things at once. Don't go. You have to go. She exhaled slowly. Yeah, she muttered. Great options. She didn't tell anyone. Not Adrian. Not Ryan. Especially not them. Because if someone wanted her alone, then she needed to know why. Midnight came fast. The south wing was darker than the rest of the academy. Less polished. Less used. Or at least, that's how it felt. Zara moved quietly, every step echoing just a little too loudly in the silence. Her pulse was steady. But sharp. Alert. Glad you came. She froze. The voice wasn't unfamiliar. That was the problem. Zara turned slowly. And her stomach dropped. Elara. Elara's voice stepped out of the shadows like she belonged there. Calm. Elegant. Dangerous. You send the messages, Zara said. Not a question. Elara tilted her head slightly. Some of them. Zara's jaw tightened. Why? Elara stepped closer. You're asking the wrong question. Zara crossed her arms. Then give me the right one. Elara smiled faintly. Why you? She said. A pause. Or, why now? Zara didn't respond. Because honestly, she didn't know. Elara, Zara said, her voice steady, if this is some kind of test. It's not. That interruption was immediate. Sharp. For the first time, Elara dropped the performance. Just a little. This is a warning, she said. Zara frowned. About what? Elara held her gaze. About what happens next. A chill ran through Zara. Which is? Elara exhaled slowly. Then said the one thing Zara wasn't ready for. You don't survive this position. Silence. Zara blinked. What? Elara didn't look away. Sovereign isn't power, she said. It's exposure. Zara's pulse quickened. Explain. Elara. A voice cut through the darkness. Cold. Sharp. Adrian. He stepped into view, his expression unreadable but tense. Very tense. Zara's eyes widened slightly. You followed me. Adrian didn't answer. His gaze was locked on Elara. You shouldn't be here, he said. Elara didn't look surprised. If you didn't want me here, she replied calmly, you should have gotten here first. Something shifted. Something deeper than tension. Zara looked between them. You two, what's going on? Neither of them answered. That was enough. Zara stepped back slightly. Okay, she said quietly. No more half-truths. Her voice hardened. What is happening? Silence stretched. Then, Elara spoke. Adrian was supposed to be sovereign. The words hit like impact. Zara turned slowly. Toward him. What? Adrian didn't deny it. That was the worst part. Before you, Elara continued, he was the top candidate. Zara's chest tightened. And now? Elara's gaze sharpened slightly. Now he's not. The realization settled in. Heavy. You think I replaced you, Zara said quietly. Adrian's voice came low. Controlled. I know you did. Silence. Zara took a step back. Because suddenly, everything made sense in the worst way possible. The warnings. The control. The distance. You're not trying to protect me, she said slowly. You're trying to control me. Adrian's jaw tightened. That's not. It is. Zara shook her head. You don't trust me. A pause. Then. No, Adrian admitted. That honesty. It hurt more than a lie. Good, Zara said, her voice quieter now. Because I don't trust you either. And that changed everything. Elara watched the exchange carefully. Then said softly. Now you see it. Zara didn't respond. Because her chest felt tight. Not from fear. From something worse. Disappointment. Behind them. A sound. Movement. All three of them turned. Too late. Figures stepped out of the shadows. More than one. Not random. Organized. Zara's pulse spiked. What is this? Elara didn't answer. That was the answer. Zora's stomach dropped. You set this up, she said. Elara didn't deny it. I warned you, she said quietly. That's not a warning, Zora snapped. That's a trap. Adrian stepped forward instantly. You don't get to make that call. Elara's voice stayed calm. I already did. The figures moved closer. Slow. Deliberate. Zora looked between them. Adrian. Elara. The people surrounding them. And realized. This wasn't random. This wasn't chaos. This was strategy. And she was the target. Her phone buzzed one last time. She didn't want to look. But she did. First move made. Zora exhaled slowly. Her heart racing. Her mind sharp. Then she lifted her head. And said. Yeah. Your mistake. Because if they thought she'd break that easily, they hadn't been watching her closely enough. The circle tightened. Not rushed. Not chaotic. Deliberate. Like this moment had been planned long before Zora ever stepped into Vermont. She didn't move. Didn't panic. That would have been a mistake. Instead, she scanned. Positions. Distance. Intent. The students surrounding them weren't random. They were chosen. Placed. Elara, Zora said quietly, if this is your idea of a conversation, it's a bad one. Elara didn't smile this time. Still deflecting, she said. Even now. Adrian stepped slightly in front of Zora. Instinct. Protection. Or control. It was hard to tell anymore. This ends now, he said coldly. Elara's gaze shifted to him. No, she replied softly. This begins now. That line hung in the air. And suddenly, Zora understood something important. This wasn't just about power. This was about reveal. Say it, Zora said. Both of them looked at her. You didn't bring me here just to trap me, she continued. You brought me here to tell me something. A pause. Then. Say it. Elara studied her for a moment. Then nodded slightly. Good, she said. You're finally asking the right question. Adrian's voice sharpened. Lara, don't. She ignored him. Of course she did. Zora Khan, Elara said, stepping closer, isn't just a scholarship student. Zora's pulse slowed. Not faster. Colder. She's a variable, Elara continued. A disruption. A correction. That doesn't mean anything, Zora replied. It will, Elara said. Then. She dropped it. Your mother didn't tell you the truth about your father. Everything stopped. Zora's expression didn't change. But inside. Something cracked. What? She said quietly. Adrian moved instantly. That's enough. Elara's voice cut through his. No, she said. It's not. Zora didn't look at Adrian. Didn't move toward him. She kept her eyes on Elara. Finish it. Silence. Then. Your father wasn't just absent, Elara said. He was removed. Zora's breath caught. Just slightly. Removed, she repeated. Elara nodded once. By the same system that built this place. That didn't feel real. That's not possible, Zora said. It is, Elara replied. And it's the reason you're here. Zora shook her head. No, she said. I was chosen because of potential. Or connection. Or whatever version of the truth you're all using today. Elara's expression didn't shift. You were chosen, she said. Because of inheritance. The word landed differently. Heavier. Zora's voice dropped. What inheritance? Elara held her gaze. And said it. Authority. Silence. Zora blinked. That's not a real answer. It is here. Adrian stepped in again. This isn't how she finds out. Zora turned sharply. Finds out what? That was the moment. The breaking point. Adrian hesitated. Just once. And that was enough? You knew, Zora said. He didn't answer. You knew, she repeated. His silence confirmed it. Zora let out a slow breath. Not shaky. Not emotional. Controlled. Okay, she said. Then someone started talking. Elara didn't hesitate. Years ago, she began, Vermont wasn't just an academy. Zora listened. Every word landing harder than the last. It was a selection system, Elara continued. Designed to identify individuals capable of holding influence beyond structure. That still sounds like what it is now, Zora said. Elara shook her head slightly. No, she said. Now it trains them. A pause. Before, it replaced them. Zora's stomach tightened. Your father, Elara continued, was one of the candidates. The word tilted. Just slightly. He wasn't supposed to lose, she added. Zora's voice dropped. What happened to him? Silence. That was answer enough. No, Zora said quietly. Elara. He was removed, Elara finished. The word hit again. Harder this time. Zora's chest tightened. Not panic. Not fear. Something sharper. Understanding. And me, she asked. Elara didn't look away. You were the contingency. Zora blinked. What does that mean? It means, Elara said, when he failed. A pause. You became the next variable. Everything clicked. At once. The monitoring. Since age 12. The file. The selection. This wasn't random, Zora said. No, Elara replied. This was planned. Yes. Zora's pulse steadied. Stronger now. And sovereign? She asked. Elara's voice dropped slightly. Sovereign isn't just a position, she said. Zora waited. It's authority without override. That sounded dangerous. It means, Elara continued, no faction can control you. Zora frowned. Then why does everyone look like they want to destroy me? Elara's answer came instantly. Because if they can't control you. A pause. They remove you. Silence. Zora nodded slowly. Right, she said. That tracks. Adrian stepped closer again. This time. Not forcefully. They won't let you reach full position, he said quietly. Zora looked at him. And you, she asked. A pause. Then. I don't know, Adrian admitted. That honesty again. Dangerous. Zora exhaled slowly. Okay, she said. Everyone tensed slightly. Because her tone had changed. She wasn't reacting anymore. She was deciding. So let me get this straight, she continued. My father was part of this system. He was removed. I was tracked. Brought here. Placed above everyone else. Elara nodded once. And now, Zora said, her voice steady. Everyone either wants to control me. Her gaze shifted slightly. Or eliminate me. Silence. Then. Yes, Elara said. Zora let out a quiet breath. Okay. That was it. No panic. No breakdown. Just acceptance. And that unsettled them more than anything. Zara, Adrian started. She raised her hand slightly. Don't. He stopped. Good. Because now, she needed clarity. Not emotion. You said my father lost, she said, looking at Elara. Elara nodded. What does winning look like? Zara asked. A pause. Then, Elara said. Control over the system itself. Zara's eyes sharpened. And losing. Silence. Then, erasure. That word stayed. Zara processed it. Accepted it. Stored it. Then, she smiled. Just slightly. And that changed the room. Because it wasn't fear. It was understanding. Then I guess, Zara said quietly. I don't plan on losing. The air shifted instantly. Because now, she wasn't just reacting to the system. She was stepping into it. On her terms. And for the first time, they weren't looking at her like a target. They were looking at her like a threat. Exactly what she needed. Her phone buzzed again. She didn't even hesitate this time. She checked it. Final phase approaching. Zara locked the screen. Looked up. And said. Good. Because whatever Vermont had planned. She was done playing by their rules. The message on Zara's phone didn't blink. It didn't vanish. It just stayed there like a countdown that refused to announce itself. Final phase active. No instructions. No explanation. Just inevitability. Vermont Academy looked the same that morning. That was the most unsettling part. The marble still gleamed. The garden still moved with perfect symmetry. The students still walked like they belonged to something untouchable. But Zara could feel it now. The system wasn't calm. It was bracing. They've started, Ryan said beside her. Zara didn't look at him immediately. How many factions? She asked. 3 major ones, he replied. But that's not the point anymore. Zara finally turned. Then what is? Ryan's expression was sharper than usual. The point is you. Of course it was. Across the courtyard, Adrian stood alone. Not surrounded anymore. Not untouchable. Just present. Watching. Waiting. Elara arrived last. Always deliberate. Always timed. Like she wanted the world to notice she was in control of her arrival. And then, the academy went silent. Not gradual. Instant. Like something had switched off sound itself. Headmistress Lawn appeared on the central platform. Not on a screen this time. In person. That alone meant something had changed. Final phase of selection has begun, she announced. Her voice echoed cleanly through the courtyard. No hesitation. No emotion. Zara felt it immediately. This wasn't a test anymore. This was closure. You all understand the structure, Lawn continued. No alliances outside your faction. No external interference. Only outcomes. She paused. Then added. Only survival. A murmur spread. Not fear. Not surprise. Recognition. They knew what this meant. Zara didn't move. She didn't need to. Because something deeper was happening now. The academy wasn't just assigning roles. It was collapsing them. Ryan stepped closer. They are going to force convergence, he said quietly. Zara frowned. Meaning? All factions into one arena, he replied. Last standing structure determines control. Zara exhaled slowly. So basically, a controlled war. Ryan didn't correct her. That was answer enough. Adrian appeared at her other side. No words at first. Just presence. Heavy. Intentional. "They'll come for you first," he said. Zara didn't look at him. "Let them." That made him pause. Just slightly. Elira watched from a distance. Not intervening. Not reacting. Just observing. Like she was waiting for a final variable to align. Then Lauren spoke again. And everything shifted. But before the final convergence, she said, "There is one revelation remaining." Zara's pulse slowed. Not faster. Slower. Because she already knew. Something was coming. Lauren turned slightly. Toward her. "Zara Khan," she said. The entire courtyard locked onto her instantly. "This academy was not built to choose successors," Lauren continued. "It was built to restore continuity." Zara felt it. That word. Continuity. Not selection. Not competition. Something older. "You were not placed here as a student," Lauren said. A pause. Then. "As you were never meant to be one." Silence broke differently this time. Not confusion. Not tension. Shock. Ryan muttered, "No." Adrian didn't speak. Elira didn't blink. Zara finally stepped forward. "Say it clearly," she said. Lauren held her gaze. "And did. You are not an entrant into Vermont's system." A pause. The air tightened. "You are its original heir." That landed like impact. Zara didn't move. Didn't react outwardly. But inside. Everything recalculated. "That's impossible," she said quietly. Lauren shook her head. "It isn't." Ryan looked at her now differently. Not like a friend. Not like a rival. Like something undefined. Adrian's voice came low. "This is what I was trying to stop." Zara finally turned to him. "You knew." Not a question. He didn't deny it. That was confirmation. Elira finally stepped forward. Her voice softer now. "Your father didn't fail," she said. "He refused." Zara's breath caught. "He refused what?" she asked. Elira looked at her directly. "The reset." Everything slowed. Lauren continued. "When the system reaches instability, sovereign is not selected." A pause. "It is restored." Zara's voice dropped. "Restored to what?" Silence. Then. Lauren answered. "To its original form." The words hung there. Heavy. Final. Ryan stepped forward suddenly. "This is insane," he said. "You're saying she's, what, built into the system itself?" Lauren didn't correct him. Adrian's voice cut in. "She is the system." That changed everything. Zara looked around slowly. At them. At the academy. At the people who had been watching her since the moment she arrived. And finally. She understood. This wasn't about power. Not really. Not anymore. It was about ownership of structure. "You didn't bring me here to compete," Zara said quietly. Lauren nodded once. "You brought me here to decide what this becomes." "Yes." Silence. Then. Something shifted. The academy lights flickered. Not randomly. Synchronized. Ryan looked up sharply. "That's not part of the system." Adrian's expression tightened. "Someone's triggering override." Elira whispered, almost to herself. "She's activating it." Zara didn't even know what that meant. But she felt it. Deep in the structure. Something responding. The ground-level systems began failing. Doors unlocking. Security disengaging. Signals collapsing. Not destruction. Reconfiguration. Lauren stepped back slowly. This was never meant to be controlled externally, she said quietly. Zara looked at her. Then why build it? Lauren answered simply. Because someone always returns. And now? She had. Zara closed her eyes briefly. Not overwhelmed. Not afraid. Processing. When she opened them again, everything was clear. No more factions, she said. Everyone froze. No more selection, she continued. No more control cycles. Ryan stared at her. Zara, what are you doing? She didn't look at him. Didn't look at any of them. Instead, she stepped forward. Into the center of the courtyard. Where everything converged. And said, this system ends. The academy reacted instantly. Not violently. Structurally. Walls retracted. Systems shut down. Protocols dissolved. Not collapse. Rewriting. Lauren's voice was barely audible now. You're overriding legacy architecture. Zara shook her head slightly. No. A pause. I'm correcting it. Adrian took a step forward. Then stopped. Because he realized. He couldn't stop her. Not anymore. Ryan watched, almost breathless. Elara, what did you do? Elara didn't answer. She was watching Zara like she finally understood what she'd been waiting for. Zara raised her gaze. And for the first time, she wasn't inside Vermont. She was above it. This isn't an end, she said quietly. It's a reset. The academy systems began shutting down fully now. One by one. Not failure. Completion. And then. Silence. Not emptiness. Stability. The courtyard opened to the sky above. No more controlled environment. No more sealed system. Just air. Light. Reality. Zara stood there alone in the center. And for the first time, she wasn't being watched. Behind her, Adrian spoke quietly. What happens now? Zara didn't turn. But her voice carried clearly. Now, she said. I decide what comes next. And Vermont, for the first time in its history, waited for an answer it didn't control.